We've seen a pretty insane couple of weeks in the stock market, but I wanted to point out here MSTR bought more Bitcoins. Recently, they added 2,530 Bitcoins for $243 million, bringing the total holdings to 450,000 Bitcoin. Absolutely insane what this company is doing. So we are back. We are talking about MSTY today, and MSTR is the underlying fund for the yieldmax ETF that writes covered calls on MSTR. So I am really, really excited. This fund has an insane history. The yield has been quite literally unbelievable. And I want to know if it's going to continue to do it in 2025. Things are really looking up for this fund, which is crazy to me because it's already gone on a historic run. And now it might just keep doing that with all the good news coming out, with the new administration, with things that are going on. So we're going to talk about all of that and more. And we're going to find out how much you need to invest to make $100 every single week investing into ticker MSTY by yieldmax, which pays out monthly, or actually 13 times a year. Absolutely crazy what this ETF has been doing, the money it's been putting out, and I'm just falling more and more into the hole that is MSTY and figuring out why people love it so much. So with all that being said, let's roll the intro. It's been a while since I talked about MSTY and MSTR, as well. So we're going to do a little bit of an update. I do have this one in our $1,000 yield max challenge, and currently MSTR or MSTY is the leading performer in that after a couple weeks already. So they paid out a really nice distribution in January already. Distribution rate of 99.76%. I did do a video on the full breakdown for all of the yieldmax ETFs in 2024, and MSTY, I believe, was the winner, which was absolutely crazy. So the last distribution, we can see it was $2.27. The one before that was $3. Before that was $4. Before was $4. Before that was 1.8. So it does fluctuate quite a bit. We're not unfamiliar with that when it comes to the yieldmax ETFs. They fluctuate. But I did want to bring up some things. I posted a video on MSTY on investing $10,000 into MSTY quite a while ago, and it is gaining a lot of traction as a lot of investors are looking into this fund more and more every single week. And there were some things brought to my attention. I don't know. I'm not an expert on MSTR at all. I know the yield max funds well. I know how they work, but MSTR, the way that they work with Bitcoin, why Bitcoin affects them so distinctly, is really, really interesting. So I want to talk about that. So we know that MSTY, it's an actively managed fund. It's going to generate monthly income by selling and writing call options on MSTR. And it pursues to harvest compelling yields and retaining capped participation in the price gains of MSTR, meaning that your gains in return, instead of having price gains or your market value increasing, you're getting higher yield dividends or distributions. So that's kind of how these things fluctuate. So if MSTR jumps 20% in one day, MSTY is not going to copy that. It may show a higher yield the coming month, but it's a little bit more capped. So if you like just overall growth, MSTR is the way to go. If you like distributions and a little bit of growth, MSTY. And that's why a lot of dividend investors are focused on MSTY. And the beauty of it as well is the calls, the way they work is MSTY doesn't have to go, or MSTR doesn't have to go up for MSTY to have good dividends, to have good yields. So if you have like a month where MSTY trades sideways or even goes down like last month, we still had a pretty solid yield from MSTY, even though MSTR went down like 16%. So that's kind of the fluctuation between should I invest in MSTY, should I invest in MSTR? But the investment objective of MSTY is current income. And that's the difference. If you wanted to sell a little bit of MSTR every day, you could get that current income, but that's the focus of these yieldmax ETFs. And so they also want exposure to the share price. There are some things you need to look at when you're planning on or debating investing in some of these. We see MSTY is at a $2 billion market cap, which is crazy. So we just saw the three round hill ETFs reach $1 billion in market cap, and MSTY is double that, which is wild. Gross expense ratio of 0.99%, a little bit lower than the weekly payers as well. And the yield has just been really, really solid. So I'm glad it's been paying out so well. So let me tell you why I think this, oh my gosh, look at just market-wise, it's up 67%, 6 months, and the NAV is 75, but on the 1 month, it is down. So we did see it drop a little bit since inception, up 226%. Absolutely crazy. And you can see what they do, what they're writing in with their calls. It's mostly cash and other. And then you see MSTR US. And so this fluctuates. It changes as they're writing their calls and depends on the time of the month that you're looking at this. But let's talk about MSTY and what's happening, why this thing is getting so much hype recently. Well, The Trump administration, which is starting again soon, has spoken a lot about crypto. And MSTR, which is MSTY's parent fund, I guess you could say, parent stock, they have a lot to do with crypto. Like I said, they own 450,000 Bitcoin. And Trump has made it known that he wants like a crypto regulation within his administration, so that the government can not necessarily regulate and like track people better with this stuff, but so the government has a better handle on crypto, how to utilize it. He's talked about that a lot. That crypto, it seems to be the future. He has his own coin, so that is a huge boom as well. Whether or not you like the Trump coin, I'm not going to be buying it. If you want to, let me know how it goes. But whether or not you like it, he is involved in crypto, and he is a businessman through and through. So he's going to do what he can to make money through this process. And with his Trump coin, I'm sure he's made quite a bit of money. Now, all that being said, that just ties into crypto. So people say, oh, Trump's involved in crypto. He has his own coin. Like it's going to be a good year for crypto. And that's why everything went insane when he won the election. So all in all, even if you think crypto, we've already seen a crazy boom, and if people are saying, oh, it's gonna fall off like crazy, and it might still fall. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not a crypto investor. I'm a stock investor primarily. I do have some money in crypto, and I have a lot of money in stock that's related to crypto, but we don't really know where it's gonna go from here. But it's not a bad sign that Trump is so involved in crypto. So a couple years out, who knows what's going to happen? We know we have crypto cycles, and that's a really big deal. But all in all, MSTY is still looking like a pretty decent hold, in my opinion, not financial advice, in my opinion, for 2025. And I'm tracking it to see what's going to happen. So figuring out how much you need to make $100 every single week is going to be really fun. And I don't think I've done this video on the channel before. I've done it with a couple different yieldmax ETFs and the weekly ETFs, but I'm curious to see how much you have to hold, because it's really, really insane when you think about how much investors are getting return-wise on these ETFs. If you wanted to get $100 a week from normal dividend stocks like Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, you have to have like quite a bit of money. Like well over 100,000, maybe you don't have to have 1 million, I'm sure, but you have to have a lot more money because the yield is so much lower, 3 to 5%. If you're able to yield 100%, you can invest significantly less and still get that solid return. That's amazing. So let's go ahead and jump into the MSTY distribution history on Seeking Alpha and see just what this thing has been paying out in the recent past. All right, so our dividend scorecard on Seeking Alpha, they also give them a 99.73% dividend yield, which is very, very interesting, pretty close to what they have on their website. We can see they haven't even been trading for a full year. It looks like the first dividend was in March of 2024. Yeah, right here. And it was for $4.12. Since then, we've seen quite a range. We've seen it go all the way down to $1.85 and then all the way up to $4.42. All in all, this $2.28 isn't terrible. It's not a high. It's not really a low. Maybe it's on the lower end, but it's not bad by any means. So since it's been trading, so what is that? We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 payments, and we have been paid out $29.79, which is pretty insane because we've been paid out in 10 months roughly what this thing is trading at now. And what that means is that in 10 months, you are getting all your money back, which is crazy. So you're looking at roughly what, a 100% return in just 10 months. So in a 12 or 13 months, 12 or 13 payments, like we see with the yieldmax funds, you could be getting over a 100% return if the dividends are consistent and if the NAV doesn't fall. And that's the thing, is we've seen the NAV move around quite a bit, because you can see NAV again is net asset value. It's what our price of the stock does, because they're paying out the dividends. If they're not making enough money on their contracts, they pay it out from just the lump sum of money that is controlled by the fund to keep the yield up. And so I believe that's how it's done. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But we can see it's been trading at a high. It was $43, and then it spiked all the way up again just after Trump won the election in 2024. We see it was back up to 35, even above that, well above 40 even for a little peak there. And now we're back down to 30. So lows, it hit 22, and now we're at 30. Not a terrible time to buy, kind of again right in the middle. but we need to see this trail sideways or even trail up slightly and the yield to continue paying out so nicely. Now, what we're going to do next is really, really key. It's what I always recommend people do when you're investing in a stock. Put it into a drip calculator. If you're interested in dividends, in distributions, in return of capital, in the money that's coming into your account, whether it be weekly, monthly, quarterly, put everything into a drip calculator. It'll give you a good idea of the past and how it has performed. Now, it's not indicative of what it's going to do in the future, but it's better than nothing in my opinion. So let's throw MSTY in a drip calculator, and I guarantee you are going to be surprised by the returns. And now for the fun part. We can see MSTY. We're plugging it in. I'm on dividendchannel.com. Really good drip calculator that they have. And we can see the start date is January 1, 1995. MSTY hasn't been trading that long, so it will auto-populate that. We're going to chart 10K invested. And now here's the thing. The return is phenomenal. I'm going to say that right now. And especially even recently, like initially I was like, oh, it ran up and now it's trading sideways and, it's not going to be that insane, but it just keeps running. So if you had invested 10K February 22nd of 2024, currently today, it would be worth $37,700, which is what? In 11 months, you're making 277% on your money. Now, that's with drip on. With drip not on, you're only at 181%, which is still phenomenal, but what? You're a third. It's a third difference when you have drip on. That's why I like to invest with drip, just personally. You guys do what you want to. It's not financial advice, of course, but that's why I love drip. We're looking at an annualized gain with drip on of 306%, which is insane, tripling your money. And then when you look at it with drip off, it's still 200%, which is still good, but again, it's a third less. So MSTY has just been going nuts. Now, is it going to continue? I don't know. We can see so far the total amount of money that it has paid out in dividends, which is $29.79. Like I said, it's just insane. So the power of drip really did exemplify the returns, especially because this whole area where it was trading sideways, you're getting the distributions every month. They're really high. You're like, wow, it's a lot of money. You're buying extra shares with it, and then boom, those shares go way up in share price, and you've made a ton of money on your invested money. You could even pull out your initial investment and just play with house money, which I know a lot of people like to do at that point. So really, really cool stuff. Again, I don't know if it's going to continue this way. It's not at an all-time high. Still, it's pretty far up there, but not at an all-time high. It's coming back down slightly. We can see that on both charts. Really, really interested. Let me know if you use drip with your yieldmax funds. I've heard a lot of mixed reviews, and I have drip on in my account, but some people don't. Let me know why you don't or why you do. I've heard both arguments that they're made for drip and that they're not made for drip. They're made for income. Either way, I'm curious what you guys think down below. And so now finally, let's jump into our calculation where we see how much money you need to make $100 every single week in distributions from ticker MSTY. All right, so we can see I have Market Beats Dividend Calculator pulled up. I really like this one. I have our yield inputted at just under 100%. We can see it's individual stock. We have it right here. We have yieldmax MSTR Option Income Strategy ETF. It's paying out monthly, and we have drip off. So the reason drip is off is because we're taking this $100 and doing stuff with it, whether we want to use it to pay some of our bills, our car payment, our mortgage, groceries, or it's our fund money. No matter what, we're pulling that money out. So it's not going to be helping us grow the account, but we're spending it. And maybe we're using it to grow other accounts. Maybe we're using it, for other things. It's not necessarily a bad thing. So far we have one share. And we can see that the share price is $29.87. So we're going to keep kicking this number up. I'm not contributing any money to it annually. And I put it in a Roth account, let's say, so no taxes. And then we're not increasing the dividend amount. We're not decreasing it. And we're investing it for just 1 year. So with one share, your ending balance, we've invested $30. Our annual dividend income, which is from this point onward, right? So after our first year, our annual dividend income is now $48 a month from the $30 that it was initially. So it's kicking up. If we jump this up to 10 shares, we can see we're now at a $300 balance, and our annual dividend income is $480, which is just crazy. Just crazy. And that's off of what? Yeah, a $300 investment. And so our total dividends are now roughly $300. If we kick this up, let's go to, let's say 30 shares. At 30 shares invested, we have about $900 invested, and our dividend payments are about $894 because it's just under a 100% return. And this now shows us that just in 1 year, the following year, this is going to double up, right? The dividend payments we've been paid over the last year and our initial balance at about $1,400 in the next year's dividend income, which is just absolutely insane. But what we need is this $900 to be a lot closer to 5,300. So let's say we jump up to 100 shares. Oh, we're getting closer. At 100 shares, we've invested just under $3,000, and we're getting paid just under $3,000, which is phenomenal. But we're not really there yet. We'll kick it up a little bit more. 150 shares, a $4,500 investment, and we're getting paid $4,470 over a 1 year period, which is absolutely crazy. The return on this is insane. So we're getting closer. Let's go 175. We're going to match it. We are right there. So let's finish off. Let's go 180. So we'll do 180 shares. Our investment initially at $5,376. That's going to get us $5,364 every single year. And so that's just going to continue. And of course, this is all assuming a lot. It's assumptive, right? We don't know where we could see NAV grow. We could see NAV shrink. We could see dividend grow. We could see it shrink. We've seen it all over the place in the last couple of months of trading alone. So you never want to just look at this and go, oh, this is what's going to make, because I can't predict it. You can't predict it. None of us can predict it, but it's fun to see. And so this is all based off of the history of how MSTY has been trading and the yield it has been kicking out. And it is phenomenal. So I'm really excited about this. I don't know what it's going to do for 2025. Don't ask me in the comments because I don't know. I'm along for the ride, just like you guys are. As always, I really appreciate you guys for watching. It's insane that you can invest $5,400 and get $5,400 back. And we can even do some math here. And so we can see this per week. If we do 5364.77, we divide this by 52, you're getting $103 a week, which is a little bit extra even. So I'm pumped with it. I'm happy with the return. I know you guys love this fund, and I see why you love it, and I'm growing to love it myself. I can't even lie to you. Maybe I even buy it in my Roth IRA one day, and we see if I can get $1,000 or even $5,000 to get this insane return. All that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. If you're interested in the yield max returns or the weekly dividend ETFs, I'll link those right here, and I hope you guys enjoy them.